Hello and welcome to the Legendary Daddy channel. I'm Legendary Daddy, this is my channel, and today I want to talk to you about the Mazda 5. The Mazda 5 to me is a minivan. It's not exactly bulky and big and huge like a minivan, a car for like small kids, small people. Stay tuned and I'll explain to you exactly what I mean. So my wife and I had little coupes, two four-door cars, little sedans. She had a Corolla, I had a Civic, and we used to buzz around in those pretty well. And when we had one child, our firstborn, we kept the Civic. It was still a compact, small car, but the gas mileage was outstanding, like 35 to 38 miles per gallon. And it was everything we needed. We had trunk space to be able to put in a stroller, everything we needed. When we bumped it up to 2 kids, that changed a little bit, but we found that we still had the space. It was still doable. Once we bumped it up to 3 kids, that was it. We needed to start moving up into something else bigger. And I wanted to find something that I knew that we were going to like, because we liked compact, we liked gas, energy efficient, all those different things, good gas mileage. And minivans just did not look like that's where we were headed. I love them. I actually went to the car show and sat through a couple of these and walked through, moved around through it, and they're great. But when you have kids that are still like the ages of maybe 2, 6 and 8, they're still little, and big bucket seats like that for kids in the back aren't really that necessary. And if there's any way I was going to be able to trim down on the bulk of a car, not get something so huge, I wanted to be able to do that. And I found that in the Mazda 5. I didn't know what the heck Mazda was, never owned a Mazda really. I've always been much more like Honda, Toyota, Ford, Chevy kind of, car guy. The Mazda I heard great things about, but it just wasn't even on my radar. But the Mazda 5, a friend of mine had a Mazda 5 minivan, I like to call it, and I saw how it fit her 4 kids in it pretty well. So I decided to give it a shot, and I looked one up and found one used. And once I saw the size and had my son sit in it, I thought, this is just perfect. This is perfect for us. This is perfect for our family. So right now I want to share a video with you to tell you some of the pros and cons of getting this. And one of the main pros of doing this is if you're, if you have a family, maybe you have 2 kids, you're not really going to need the minivan. And you might not even need like a huge SUV or anything like that too. This minivan is actually, minivan, the Mazda 5, is actually a good transition because it allows you to start getting used to exactly like the sliding doors, the seating arrangements, the 3rd row in the back for seating, without it being too huge or too big. So right now I'm going to start with the video and I'll show you a little bit of what I'm talking about. This is our Mazda 5. I love this car. It is outstanding. When I see it, I love it. I feel like it looks sporty. I think a lot of people think that it looks very similar to the Prius V, I think it's called, which has that kind of shape to it. I often get mistaken for that. But those big sliding doors right there on the side, that's where it's obviously different from a Prius V. The front seat, 2 big bucket seats in it. I have my cleaning stuff there for it to dust it and make sure everything's okay. So our 2 seats that are really nice in the back. In the back behind that is not a bench. It is 2 other bucket seats that can fit comfortably 2 more adults. And then in the back we have the bench seat, which is also 2 seats side by side, where you can see that we have our kids' boosters. The leg room. This is the amount of legroom you can have if you push that seat completely the furthest up, the bench seat, or the bucket seat in front of it. But when you slide it all the way back and you take a good look, you will see that there is hardly enough legroom. That's why I do believe that this car is really built for kids. There's no one who's going to fit back there that comfortably unless it's a kid. And here's my daughter climbing into her car seat. Where we have, and here are my 2 boys in the back. They are 10 and 8. As you can see with my daughter's leg room and everything right there for them to be able to crawl in and out, there's plenty of room there. And this is where their aunt usually sits sometimes when she travels with us. She's an adult. She's about 5'7". And moving that car seat forward, you can see my son's feet and both of my sons sitting in the back. That's my older one. And when you tuck this seat back to give that front, that adult, the full leg room, you see that there's not much room. And here is the room for the children. Now, the thing is that I ask them about this all the time. It's like, do you guys have enough seating? Do you guys have enough room? And they are completely satisfied with it. So for an adult, the back two seats are probably not really going to be too good, right? Because you're not going to be, I mean, if you need to, you can push it that far forward. But the bucket seat in front of it will have practically no room. And the truth is, you're probably going to be sliding it back quite a bit. And as you can see, that's not much room for an adult. Which is why I do believe that this car is really built for, like, the back seat there is really built for kids. My boys are back there comfortably. Another reason why, too, is this sliding door. The ground clearance, you know how low it is to the ground. My daughter, who's 4 years old, can step into this car on her own. And that's a big difference from an SUV or a Dodge Durango, which we were thinking about getting. And with the sliding door, if you have kids, you know it's the best. They have tons of energy. They'll be bouncing around all over the place. And they'll just kick a door open just out of fun, not noticing that you're parked right next to another car in a parking lot, and they'll ding it or smack it. We don't have power doors. I'm not sure if the Mazda 5, the higher ends, have that, and neither do we have a back hatch that is power. But we adjust just fine. Now this seating arrangement, these seat belts, this is another reason. I actually think this is where the Mazda 5 might have had some fault in this back seat belt and the way it's made. The seat belt, the way it is right here for this child seat, is perfect because it tucks into that little red area and it goes right across my son's chest perfectly, completely holding him into place. Just awesome. Like I said, they have room for their drinks there. There's plenty of room for two people sitting there. But when you take it out, you'll realize, I think it's the way the seatbelt is much higher than it is pushed back. It's really floppy and it goes forward. And I'm going to show you in a little bit about how that even affects an adult. Now here's my son, my younger son, sitting in his seat, his child seat. These are the headrests that come with the car. I've taken them out for the child seats. But watch how my son's seatbelt fits against his chest. There's a gap right there. And that gap, you don't realize, is not very safe. That is perfect, the way that goes across my younger sons. And this, not at all. And I find it's even that way for adults a bit when they ride in the back. So, like I said, a car that's built for kids or kids in the back that have boosters like this, it's perfect for them. There's plenty of room. The legroom's ample enough. It's good enough. As you can see right here, even for adults, like I said, it doesn't really stay close to my chest. It's kind of loose. It doesn't seem like it's safe. That little bit of gap still allows you to whip forward. Now the car does have these little plastic things on the side that look like they're built for tucking the seatbelt into it. But as you see, when I do that here, it slides out. I'm not sure if it's on backwards or if there's any way that I can adjust it, but it just slides right out. Here's a good example of the legroom for an adult. Not much. I am 5'6" and I am pretty small. I am only like 140 pounds maybe. Kind of tiny, small, tiny. There's good headroom, enough for me, for someone who's 5'6", but for adults, I'm not sure if that's really going to fly. So when you think about it, and you think about this little minivan, it really is meant for many people. My sons walk right through this middle aisle area to get in their seats. There's no adjusting seats back and forth for them to get in. There's no sliding them back and forth to get in. They just walk right in, go down that little aisle, and they're in their seats, and they're happy. Another thing that is spoken about with his Mazda 5, I think sometimes, is the amount of space in the back. It's very, very compact, this car. And because of that, there's not much like trunk space, I'm measuring it out here with an umbrella, the length of an umbrella. That's not even fully extended. I mean, there's only so much space you can put there. We used to try to tuck our stroller back there. It worked, but I mean, it was really super tight. There is some space underneath that where you can store things. You know, you can store, that's my jumper cables, or my car jumper right there, battery powered car jumper. And then underneath this little plastic area is the spare tire. So there is, you know, there are areas where you can tuck stuff that maybe don't need to be put in the back. When it comes to the space in the back, it is kind of lacking there. For what we do and for what we use, I have these smaller areas here where I tuck things into the side, like things to help detail the car, clean the car when I need it cleaned. Other emergency things, lights, lamps, different things that I might need if there's a problem with the car or problem having a flat. There's a 12 volt charging area there. Now this is what it usually looks like on a normal day. We have tucked away blankets, car drying things for when I go to the car wash, my wife's, you know, reusable bags. Underneath I have toiletries, umbrellas, the cargo net for the cargo basket on top of the car, and other things. So because of that lack of space, you do have other options, which is what we use, and that's one of them is a receiving end for the hitch. We have this put in. They're about $100, a little over $100 online to have it installed. I had it put in for about $100 also, but it's been effective. And as you can see, you can get a cargo carrier, you know, hitch carrier, where people make pretty good use of that if you find that you don't have enough to store inside. Or you can just always go the other route and put a basket on top, which is what we did also. We have no rain gutters or rails, but they go right in flush. Looks really beautiful. I really like the way it looks. And we have a basket that if I want to store anything on top, I think I've put the kids' bikes on there before. When I have a long haul from Costco, I'll put stuff in there also. When it comes to the drivability of the car is outstanding. It is a 2013. I got it for about $7,500 maybe. 7,500. I mean, we put this little reverse thing to help out. And yeah, the car is outstanding. This shifter I really didn't like at all because it was just too much, so much like the minivans and where they're at, as opposed to where it was in my Civic. But you adjust, you get over it really quick, and then you realize, like, yeah, I'm stepping up to the minivan once my kids get taller and bigger than I am. Now, when it comes to drivability, I live in Los Angeles. Now, this 110 South Freeway right here is the first freeway that was built in the United States. It was talked about in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, the movie. And this freeway is built for cars going 45 miles an hour max. They never changed it too much. Now it's like, you know, 3 lanes of cars, sometimes just going like 80 down this thing. It seems to be very dangerous. I knew that we were going to get a car. We're going to have to get a car that was going to be able to go from 0 to 60 pretty fast. And I'm telling you that this little 4-banger, man, this little 4-cylinder is just amazing. This is a fully loaded car, and in no time, I'm up to speed, and I'm just going. So, yeah, what I really would like to tell you about with this car is not only is it such a great deal for a growing family, but if you plan on getting one, I'm not sure if you know about car depreciation and car value. The moment you get the car off the lot, I think you've heard this, many of you have probably heard this before, is that the car loses its value quickly. But there's a depreciation curve to it. So once cars are about, like, after about 5 years old, that curve starts to flatten out quite a bit, and it's not too bad. That's the best time to really get a car, and that's the best time to look at a used car. You can always go to CarMax, or you can even just go on your own and do some investigation and meet with some private party people and look into a very, very good car. I got this from a gentleman who had been letting it sit for years because he wanted to use it for work. He had a Sprinter, one of these, you know, really big cars that you can stand up in, where he had ladders and all these different things in it. And he wanted to use the Mazda 5 as a kind of compact little Sprinter and take it. But he found that he wasn't driving it that often, so it sat around, and he was paying the insurance and paying the registration, and he decided to sell it to me. When I got it, it was, let me see, 2013. It was 7 years old, and it had 60,000 miles on it, a little over 60,000 miles on it, and he sold it to me for $7,500, $7,500. That is a super good deal for a brand new car. Really good. I had my mechanic look at it, and it's just outstanding. I mean, it was under 100,000 miles. I mean, and Mazda, from what I learned about, is outstanding car company, and it's Japanese made, and we love it. We realized, you know, with the little adjustments, it's still compact. It still feels very small. When I park in the parking lot, it seems really nice. You know, it doesn't seem to be taking up a lot of space. I don't seem like I'm too high above the ground. Don't seem like I'm too low. It's really, really perfect for my kids, especially, like I said, with the sliding doors. And once they grow bigger and get out of their little boosters and out of that car seat, we'll probably end up getting a Honda, you know, Odyssey, or a Toyota Sienna, you know, especially in the future when they're probably going to be having much more like electric or hybrids when it comes to minivans. But until then, I'm going to be flying in my Mazda 5. So that's pretty much what I want to share with you today. I'm going to put a link down below with maybe a little bit of information about, you know, just YouTube links about how the cars can flatten out. I mean, the seats can flatten out, and you can have it flat in the back, and it looks really, really nice. I'm also going to put a video down, a link down below about the car depreciation and the car value. There's a very good informative video that I watched before I bought our Mazda 5, which explained that we were like right in that spot where right when it starts to flatten the curve, we can always resell this at a great price. And what we got in terms of the mileage, you know, and for the price, it was outstanding. So that's my little deal on the Mazda 5. Think about it, you know, I mean, when it comes down to it, be realistic. You have kids, you're going to have to end up probably getting a minivan one day. And this is a good warm-up for it. This is a good first step into getting that minivan one day, which I really love those too. They're really built really well. But the Mazda 5, man, still feels pretty good, still feels pretty sporty, and thank you for listening. Like and subscribe if you can. Peace.